Yeah, it is another episode of the Autumn Windbags. RJ Clifford, Juan Soto. Let's have some fun today. A special Thanksgiving week live episode on a Wednesday. Thought we'd give you guys some thanks. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Not to toot our own horns, but beep beep. Our subscribers are going through the roof. We've got a bunch of new members that have joined. Our Instagram following has gone crazy. Our social media following has gone crazy. I guess it's what's bad for the Raiders is sometimes good for creators, right? Bad for Raiders, good for creators with the fired coach, interim coach, losing, then winning, all that chaos. Everyone wants the news. And so we appreciate you guys choosing us to do that. Thank you very, very much. So we thought we'd go live for this week's podcast episode, special Thanksgiving week episode. And it's kind of fitting that we play the Chiefs on Thanksgiving week. You know, it's like instead of Pilgrims and Indians, it's Pirates and Indians.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, Pilgrims were pirates anyway, so.
Right? Yeah, right. The Pirates, so works out perfect. We just got to throw some smallpox blankets in the KC locker room out of tradition.
No,
you know what I mean? Out of tradition.
COVID is the new smallpox.
Smallpox 19.
Yeah, right.
Heading over there. So I will be going to the game on Sunday. Very excited. So expect extra content all this weekend. Field passes, the whole nine. Can't wait. I've yet to be to Allegiant Stadium. The true test of the curse. Well, not really, because Chiefs are big favorites.
Yeah, dude, it is.
If we can, so if we beat the Chiefs, it's clear the curse is over. My long running curse of not going every time I go to a Raiders game, the Raiders lose. Again, I don't remember how long the streak is, but I do remember the last time I went to a game that the Raiders won. It was at Qualcomm Stadium in San Diego.
Well, a dump.
It's been that long. So if we pull it off as big underdogs this weekend, for that, like the monkey just off my back. Just, Who was it? Was it wasn't Joe Mon? Steve Young. Remember that thing we won the Super Bowl? He's like, someone get this monkey off my back. And someone like literally grabbed it and like, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that on the field.
You need to. You're a freaking mush.
I am. This is how we cure it.
Big time mush.
So on Undisputed this week, Michael Irvin. I didn't even know he was on Undisputed until I saw this clip. I used to work at Fox, and now ever since I left, I completely lost track of who's where. But he was talking about Antonio Pierce, and he's a big fan of Antonio Pierce. All the guys over there, Keyshawn Johnson, Skip, all those guys are all basically unanimously saying that Antonio, not that, any of their opinions really carry weight with me, but Michael Irvin was in the venue during Dolphins week. He was there, and he had two really interesting things to say. This is the first thing he had to say.
I went to spend some time with Antonio Pierce in the Raiders, and I'm going to tell you something, man. They made me feel like one of the guys, When I first got to Davante ran up to me, grabbed me, They brought me in, took me, I hung out with me in the locker room, took me upstairs and let me address the whole football team. Then afterwards, I went in and sat with Antonio Pierce in his office. He's still in his same coaching office, the assistant office. I said, hey, big fella, why we're not in the big room right now? He said, I told him I'm not moving twice. If you move me over there, I'm going to stay over there. I'm not moving back up, so I'm going to just stay until it's permanent. And I was like, that's such a grind mentality, you know what I mean?
I love that.
Yeah.
I ain't moving twice. It's like, yeah, I absolutely want that office. I've been abundantly clear I want that office. I think I deserve that office. The players, it seems like, want me to have that office. But I really want that office. I don't want to have that office and just have like IKEA furniture in there. You know what I mean? I want to move in my lazy boy that I have at home. I want to pick the curtains and start decorating a little bit. I want to put down some roots if I'm going to move into this office.
Yeah, man. He needs to get in there and he needs to be given that job. He needs to earn it. He needs to do what Mark Davis has in his mind that needs to get done to earn that position. Once it's earned, then he can move into the role and it's all his. I think it would be more of a pretender thing to all right, I got to move my stuff into the big office. Like, no, bro, it's not your job yet.
I think also it's I guess if I worked in that office, right, at any job, if I was a coach or player, janitor or assistant, whatever, if I was in that office, knowing how bad Josh McDaniels screwed over this team, I would have loved to like always walk by the office and see it empty. It's like passing by It's like passing by like the coffin of your enemy at a graveyard, you know? You're like walking by and there's still like you know how like the phone cord's pulled out of the wall and like the curtains are kind of ajar, like someone rushed out of there quick, you know? I'd want to walk by and see that. Yeah. Screw you, Josh.
This was vacated in haste for sure.
And there's just a giant dent on the door because the door did hit him on the way out. You know, it's like let's make sure the door hits you on the way out, please, just to like exponentially push you out of here.
Maybe he dropped like one of his like a paper, like he wrote like a post game press conference speech on there, and it was just like all the way down the paper.
It's like halfway done, and you find out like that's right when he got the call that he's fired. So it's just sitting there, half a speech, just like 17 already done.
We're close.
Here's another inside piece that Michael Irvin shared on
he said to me, and I hope I'm not out of turn. He said, man, I said, what do you tell your team? What is it, 14-point favorites, Key?
Yeah.
Something like that. I said, what do you tell your team when you're down 14? He said, I've never said anything about a spread to my team before. But I have to this time.
Yeah.
Because in this change that we're going through, I have to say to them, and he said to them, this is what people think of you. Now you go show them what you think of you.
It's a great line.
Yeah.
I think that pretty much encapsulates what the big strength Antonio Pierce brings to this team is things like this. Like, they think you're going to lose by 2 touchdowns. That's what they think, the enemy, right? It's all football coaches and football players, and I think the good ones. They have this uncanny mental gymnastics ability to always make themselves sound like they're being counted out, they're underdogs, no one believes in them. Remember like Tom Brady's last few seasons with the Patriots? He already has like 5 rings, 6 rings, whatever number of rings he had. And still like 3/4 of the way through the season, he still gives a speech like, no one believes in us. They don't think we can do it. It's like, dog, you're like a Hall of Famer 3 times over. You have like a top 5 offense. You're like 11-2. Like, and yet somehow Tom Brady still somehow finds a way to actually believe that no one believes in him.
Well, yeah, like Michael Jordan in The Last Dance said, he like made up a story about some guy talking crap to him after a game because he had a good game. So he made up a story. So the next time they played him, he like demolished him. Just you have to find that way to get yourself that little extra edge. You know, these guys are all. I mean, I wouldn't say they're all, but the top players are driven. You know, they don't need motivation, but they use the motivation to kind of get themselves up to the little extra level and to bring everyone else up with them.
So I brought these 2 things up. One, I thought the second one was just a cool story, what he talked about with the Dolphins. I thought the first one was just kind of a cool story. But as I was pulling the video, I was like, we'll just like bring this up as something cool to share with the Windbags. I started thinking to myself, is Antonio Pierce carrying himself with confidence or cockiness? Because he's made it abundantly clear with how he acts that he wants that job, which I get. Is he carrying himself in a way that you think is going to turn off Mark Davis? He's an old, pudgy, not curmudgeon-y, but just kind of like definitely out of touch dude. Like you see how he dresses, you see the haircut. Do you think the swagger and persona of Antonio Pierce might turn off Mark Davis a little bit? You think it will be a factor?
I don't think so. I think that if Antonio Pierce is acting different from who he's been up until the point where he was given the interim job, I guess you could say that's being cocky. But if he's just the same person the entire time, Mark Davis knew who he was hiring, right? If he's just been acting like himself. So I don't think it's going to turn off Mark Davis at all.
I wonder how involved Mark Davis was in the hiring of Antonio Pierce specifically. Like, I'm sure like the paper went across his desk, but do you think he actually sat down and like interviewed AP, or I think it was just like a McDaniel Ziegler move? And then Mark Davis is like, I don't know who that is, but sure, go ahead. Or like, oh yeah, from the Giants, cool. I bet you probably the latter.
I don't think he put too much into the assistants hiring.
Yeah.
I think he was pleasantly surprised once AP was in the building and was able to, interact with Mark Davis, and kind of Mark Davis finding out a little bit about AP's history and his story and all that, about how he's a huge Raider fan, all that stuff. So I think that kind of may have endeared him to Mark Davis. And when the time came and the players were saying, we want AP to be our coach, he's like, well, why the hell not? He's just as good as anyone else, to take over midseason. So let's see what this guy has.
Also, I can't help but think it was calculated from AP to, in his literally 15 seconds into his speech when he was taking over as interim head coach, he brought up being a Raider from Compton, NWA with Raider hats. He's like, that wasn't for the players. It was definitely for the fans. But I think that was for Mark Davis more than anybody. Because you know how much Mark Davis loves Raiderhood, you know what I mean? To really appreciate his version of the Raiders and what he knows is as the Raiders. I think that was because us fans love it. We were creaming our pants. We're like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. Get some, But then Mark Davis.
Well, Mark Davis has been going away from that. He's been pushing away from that and looking to get because as much as people want to say Gruden was a Raider, it's not like no. He left and did his own thing, and he brought his own thing here when he was rehired. That was not like a Raider thing. That was more of a Gruden thing.
I would say Gruden's pretty Raidery, old school, rough. And remember, he didn't leave the Raiders, right? He was traded by Al Davis, and then didn't leave this time. Drew, but
I don't see John Gruden being a Raider type of freaking coach. He didn't pay nearly enough attention to defense to be a Raider type coach, man. I just don't see it.
I was thinking more like the way AP expressed himself.
Well, yeah, there's that, but there's also, we're bullies. That's the Raider way. We're just straight up bullies. That's all it is. That John Madden clip. Yeah, we're dirty. What are you gonna do about it? Yeah. We're bullies, and we were anything but that. So I like it. I like the the confidence, the swagger, but the thing is, Gruden wasn't about empowering the team to have that confidence and swagger. Gruden was all about him having the confidence and swagger. So that's not the Raider way either. That's everybody uplifting. Like I'm a leader from the front. Like I want everyone to be like me and have the same confidence that I do.
But you like it from the back.
That was terrible.
I just broke your internet. You lagged so bad right there.
No, that was so bad.
The internet was so dismayed and so wah by my joke that it hurt. They cut off your internet for 2 seconds.
Oh God, that was so bad.
I get what you're saying.
Well, yeah, because Gruden was all about Gruden. Gruden was, number one was Gruden. Number two was Gruden. Number three was Gruden. Number four was probably Gruden's offense, and then the number five was the rest of the team.
I think he was a micromanager and he liked his system, not unlike. I think Josh McDaniels and him are similar in that aspect, although Gruden was obviously a million times better motivator. And, there's a boatload of players that swear by him.
You can't be a micromanager and pay that little attention to defense.
Well, that's probably the only way he can. It's like, I'm going to micromanage offense only. I know I'm in charge of the draft and trades. I'm not going to pay attention to that either. I'm just going to go with my gut when they come across my desk because I have 12 hours of offensive film to watch.
Yeah. So I'm.
What are APs? So if AP sits down with Mark Davis, right? And let's say the record at the end of the season isn't so terrible. Let's say we don't lose out, right? And let's say we don't win out and go deep in the playoffs, right? Where it's his record this season is on the border where the interview is going to really matter, right? Let's say that's where his record ends up, where it's he has to nail this interview. Harbaugh's out there, maybe one or two other coaches that Mark Davis is hiring that we can get excited about. What are you saying if you're AP to Mark Davis to say, I deserve this job? What strength are you bringing?
I think you point to he has to lead with his knowledge. I think because the other stuff is already stated. You don't want to lead with the fluff.
Yeah.
You want to lead with, on top of, I know what you think. I know what people think about me. So I'm going to lead with, this is how smart I am. This is how much I know the game. This is how well I can connect to today's players. This is where I see other coaches falling short. This is how I can develop younger players. Look at how the younger players improved once I took over. Because that's a huge deal, man. It's rare that you get a veteran player that stays healthy throughout his career and is able to just be that pillar without interruption, and let alone get 5, 6, 7, 8 of those guys on each side of the ball. It's just, you have to be able to develop young players. So start with that, and then on top of that, I can motivate. I know the tradition here. I'm going to uphold the tradition of the Raiders. Then point to the changes that the team has made in culture, in attitude, and in product on the field since he took over.
I think that's all great. What I would do, without directly saying it, but try to heavily imply and insinuate. I'll just say it bluntly, and then I'll think of a smarter way to say it. I'd be like, hey, Mark, you screwed up by firing Rich Bisaccia. You had a guy that the players loved and believed in, and he took you to the playoffs despite a dumpster fire of a season where everything that could go wrong went wrong, and you bailed on him because you wanted a sexy pick. I've already proven to you that I can be that same guy. Players love me. This is my chance. We won games we weren't supposed to. We were close in games we were supposed to get blown out. I'm that guy. I am the you can make good on the mistake you made 3 seasons ago by hiring me.
Yeah, pretty much like what you've been looking for is here.
You grew it.
The attitude.
Raider Nation grew what you needed. You didn't have to go hire from without. I grew from within.
Yeah, like everything that you've been looking for in a franchise is here now. Let's just move forward. I know I came up, with this team. I know what it's about. I know what we need to do to win.
Michael Creamer, thank you for the extremely generous super chat. $20. You're the man. Happy Thanksgiving, guys. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Mike. Looking forward to watching the Raiders compete on Sunday, where we will have an opportunity to beat the Squaws. We have a lot to be thankful for if we can beat the Squaws. I like calling them the Squaws on Thanksgiving. I'm telling you, man, playing the Chiefs Thanksgiving week, it just makes the parody writing too easy. You know what I mean? It's just way too easy. Like when we played the Cowboys 2 seasons ago on Thanksgiving, it's like Cowboys and Pirates, Cowboys and Indians. It's stupid.
Shake and quiver and quake as we rob them of their gold.
Right? Like it really should be not the Lions on Thanksgiving. It should be the Chiefs on Thanksgiving. Right?
Yeah, it should be Chiefs and Cowboys.
That real tough rivalry that's going on between the two. So Tom Brady went on the Stephen A. Smith show, and he's been doing some media here and there now. The jury is still out on whether Tom Brady is going to be a minority owner of the Raiders or not. Mark Davis wants it. It's like Jim Gray probably made it, put those together. But he said something that got a lot of people's panties in a bunch. Here's Tom Brady on the Stephen A. Smith show.
I think there's a lot of mediocrity in today's NFL. Yeah. I don't see the excellence that I saw in the past.
Why not?
Why not? I think the coaching isn't as good as it was. I don't think the development of young players is as good as it was. The rules have allowed a lot of bad habits to get into the actual performance of the game. Mm-hmm. So I just think the product, in my opinion, is less than what it's been. I look at a lot of players like Ray Lewis and Rodney Harrison and Ronnie Lott and guys that impacted the game in a certain way, and every hit they would have made would have been a penalty. You hear coaches complaining about their own player being tackled and not necessarily, why don't they talk to their player about how to protect himself? We used to work on the fundamentals of those things all the time. Now they're trying to be regulated all the time. Offensive players need to protect themselves. It's not up to the defensive player to protect the offensive player. A defensive player needs to protect himself. I didn't throw the ball to certain areas because I was afraid players were going to get knocked out. Mm-hmm. That's the reality. Wow. I didn't throw it to the middle when I played Ray Lewis because you knock him out of the game, and I couldn't afford to lose a good player.
So first off, when those words come out of Tom Brady's mouth, every single time he got hit, he'd complain. Every single time he wanted a penalty, he'd get a penalty. Mr. Every single time I was looking for any sort of edge to get the refs on my side, he would. So hearing those words come out of his mouth makes my blood boil. Hearing those words come out of his mouth made me want to punch my monitor square in the taint. That's like hearing like a guy in prison for like grand larceny complaining that like someone stole his like prison soap. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, that's why you're here, because you're a freaking thief. Like, Brady, you're the reason why this happened. Remember when he blew out his knee and all of a sudden they made these like low hit rules against quarterbacks? Like, Brady, you're the reason why this happened. Hearing this come out of your mouth makes me want to vomit. The problem is, Soto, he's 100% correct in everything that he said.
Yeah.
Everything that he said.
If you take away the messenger and look at the message, he's right. We do have an issue with you see it a lot in a lot of the coaching hires, like, oh, flashy a coordinator gets a job, and he gets a job because he's a flashy coordinator, but he can't lead. Or, you know, look at Eberflus, look at a lot of these other guys out there that were, you know, good coordinators, but, you know, it's a different skill set to be able to develop players. It's easier as a coordinator to be able to get the most out of the players if you have someone who's good at identifying talent and developing those players, giving you those players to play with.
Yeah.
But you know, the coaching, I don't think the coaching and development is good, but part of that is because they really can't practice as much as they used to.
100%. 100%.
And so there's going to be a lot of issues with tackling, a lot of issues with timing. I've seen so many bad screens run because just the offensive line just doesn't have the timing. They haven't done it against, I mean, not even against live competition, but against, you know, people who are going to compete against you in practice. You know, they're probably just doing it against air, and it's not the same. So there's a lot of issues with practice. A lot of issues that's an issue with execution, which is part of development. The rule changes.
And I love the development conversation, because before, you know, when I grew up playing football, watching football, you know, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, you could draft a guy like you didn't draft a guy out of the gate and expect him to start right away. Like there was like a stigma around starting rookies. Like it wasn't like a thing. Like you had to be like exponentially special. You know, the Jacorian Bennett's of the world never see the field, ever. He could be a Pro Bowler one day, but you wouldn't see the field your rookie season ever, because they're like, oh, we're going to develop these guys. Now you just don't have time. Like you have to draft guys that are ready made. That's why like all the linemen that are drafted in the NFL, it's like USC, Alabama, Nebraska, Ohio State, and then everyone else is like a big drop off. You don't have time to just draft like a 360-pound stud and teach him how to be a good lineman. You have to get them ready made, because you just don't have time to, like Alex Leatherwood, best example, right? Like you don't have 3 years to try to turn like a physical specimen into someone competent. You don't have time to do that.
Yeah, it's the clock is definitely sped up. We have a lot more quick firings, and a lot of that is because going up, we're getting a lot more younger coaches being hired. Mm-hmm. So these guys aren't developing that awareness, and developing that patience, and they just haven't experienced as much. And you know, there's something to be said for wisdom, not just information, like being able to retain information. That's not wisdom. It's how you impart that information, how you instruct with that information, and how much it sticks to the person you're instructing. That's wisdom. That's how you use the information that you have. And that generally comes with time. So there's quite a few things that are coming to play here as to why we're in a flashy type of environment right now. It's a culture right now where it's like, you know, you got to look good on TV, you got to be presentable, and you know, the anti that is Andy Reid, but they're kind of making a mockery of that, where he eats cheeseburgers and he's got a walrus mustache and he wears Hawaiian shirts, and like, so they're making a mockery of that to not, look at the crotchety old, coach with his, his hands in his pants, like calling a game. And it definitely does show in the development, because you see a lot of feast or famine type of players where, all right, well, you're gone. Okay, well, we got more draft picks next year. We got more guys coming in next year. So get a lot more turnover. Rosters aren't quite as stable as they've been in the past. So it's, personally, I don't hate disagreeing with Tom Brady. I don't hate disagreeing with anybody. If you make a good point and it makes sense, okay, fine, I don't care who it is. So it is a little bit, I think it's a little bit disingenuous. I know you do. It's your petty peeve, whatever, no big deal. But
it's not petty for Raider Nation to hate Tom Brady. That is a well-earned.
It's not hating Tom Brady. It's the message that he's giving. If you're just going to shite all over it, because I'll call myself, because
that's like a halfer. That's like 50
no. I didn't say it. I said shh, and I changed
it's like
it. Yeah, right.
Like a hat, like just like a.
So
you owe 50 cents.
But I understand what's going on here. I get what he's saying, and there's some reasons why that are from the league, and there's some reasons why that are from the Players Association.
Yeah, and I love, like, and I'm gonna hate Tom Brady more and more if he keeps being so right about stuff. But it looks like he's in a position to be, because he's like untouchable. Like, he's so famous, so rich, he's God, right? So if Roger Goodell, if he can be kind of like what John Gruden was behind the scenes, but Tom Brady can be that above the scenes, like, hey, these rules suck. These guys aren't practicing enough. He's talking like a fan, right? He's like, the quality of football's down. Like, I am not enjoying football the way I used to, because the quality is down because of X, Y, and Z. All these offensive players are complaining and moaning that they're getting hit. No one's practicing. No one's developing. Roger Goodell needs to fix this. That football hating pussy. Like, Tom Brady could be that new guy. He could be the anti Roger Goodell that gets like actual. He could be. It makes my the flavor of my mouth go disgusting. But like, he could be the voice of fans because he has the cachet to say whatever the hell he wants with basically no repercussions until someone releases his emails.
Look, say what you want about Tom Brady, like, love him or hate him. I don't either. Like, whatever, I don't hold any malice to the guy, but I don't like revere him either. He had to work for where he got. He wasn't given anything. He had to work hard for where he got, and he progressed over time. He was given that time because of the way the team that he's took over was structured. He wasn't asked to do too much in the beginning, and as he progressed as a player, he was asked to do more. So I see where he's coming from, and I see that he had that unique perspective where he was a superstar, but he didn't start out to being a superstar. So he can see both sides of that. And, he can definitely be that guy because he can say pretty much anything, right, in a football sense, in a football context, and it'll be, accepted. For sure, he can say a lot of things that people are thinking, and people aren't gonna, maybe look over his shoulder or think twice about the message as opposed to the messenger. So he definitely can be that guy that can say, hey, Players Association, these guys aren't practicing enough. We need to adjust it a little bit because of X, Y. Then you can just give the data, point out stuff. We have issues with execution. Points are down. Why are points down? Well, it's a lot harder to play offense than it is to play defense. As far as what did we talk about earlier in the season? If one guy does something wrong on offense, it can screw up the entire play. Yeah. If one guy does something right on defense, he can blow up an entire play. Yeah. So it's a little bit different as far as execution goes. So, man, he could be the guy that just blows everything up and shines a light on a lot of different things.
You're a bigger man than I. Forgiving Tom Brady.
I got so much stuff to worry about, bro. I just don't have time to freaking just to hate Tom Brady. I don't have time for it.
It's like with Keanu Reeves. Maybe I brought it up on this show, but he had this great line where he's like, look, I'm at the age where I don't care what people say. Like, you could say something completely wrong to me, and I don't care. Like, you can walk up to me and say 2 + 2 = 5. I'd be like, yep, you're right. High five. Have a good day. And just move on with my day.
Yeah, it's that whole like unbothered. I'm trying really hard to get to that point to be unbothered.
I can't, because that tuck rule ruined our franchise for years. That's what I can't.
That's not what ruined our franchise for years. It ruined our chance at a Super Bowl that season. But there was a lot of bad decisions made that were independent from that.
No, because if we win the Super Bowl, there's no way Al Davis trades John Gruden. 0% chance.
I don't know that you can say that.
I definitely can say that. You're not going to trade a Super Bowl winning coach? No way.
Okay, look at it from this perspective.
No way.
If Al Davis is like, well, I put that team together and I'm helping him coach the team, which he was, I can put someone else in there and I can help him coach the team too. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm not saying that would have happened. But no way. You're forgetting the alpha egomaniac that was Al Davis.
Raider Nation would have burned that stadium to the ground if they would have if they would have made any major moves after a Super Bowl run, especially trading a coach. No way. It's not even like you can blame like salary cap, right? It's like, oh man, you're insane.
There's when you're talking about Al Davis, there's no way you can say 100% or 0%.
I can, 100%. Do you follow the when the Athletic does their players poll every season?
Yeah,
I love it. I love it every season. So the only problem is the Athletic, they only interview like 70 to 85 players. So it's like a tiny sample size. Like there's 1,500 players in the NFL? Like right, there's always fluctuating.
15 and change, yeah.
But 32 teams, 53-man roster, whatever that number is. And so you're taking like 2-3% of them and you're trying to like extrapolate something, but it's better than nothing. I still find it fun. So they did a couple things, and Raiders popped up in a few of these. So they did like best player, which we'll skip because we know who they voted for and we don't want to talk about it. We're playing him on Sunday. Let's put it that way. They did a couple fun ones. Biggest trash talker. I didn't know Gardner Johnson was like that, like exponentially the biggest trash talker in the NFL. But
yeah, it's nuts.
1/4 of all people polled said CJ Gardner Johnson. Marcus Peters was the 5th highest one, just at 5.7%, but 5th highest. I wonder how much trash he's talking these days when he's not even tackling anybody.
God,
maybe that's why he's not tackling. He's too busy running his mouth instead of running his legs. And Maxx Crosby got 3%. I bet you Max, I think because people like the Max, because he talks a lot of trash. A lot. And he backs it up, which makes it even more infuriating. But I think because everyone like appreciates Maxx Crosby's story and because he's such like a hard worker, because like trash talk, I think people attach like a lot of negativity to it. And so they don't want to attach a negativity to Max. I think Max is too universally respected. If that makes sense.
I also think that Max, because we've all seen the videos of Maxx Crosby playing. Maxx Crosby is he's more of like he'll talk to you after he did something. Yeah. Like I told you I was gonna do it. Yeah. Like what was that? I just, you better stop me next time because I ain't gonna stop. So I think his trash talk is more like the white boy trash talk, like the Larry Bird trash talk. It's good. And they back it up, but it's not like you can't argue against it. Because we've all been in sports where people talk fast and you're like, dude, shut the hell up. You're not doing anything right now. Like Marcus Peters is a prime example. Yeah. Like, dude, why are you talking? You're ass. Like you're terrible. Why are you talking right now? You don't tackle. You the only way you can cover is by giving everyone cushion in front of you and run them out of bounds. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think the Max trash talk is unique because it's like you can't say no, you're wrong. He's just telling the truth.
I just sacked you 3 times. No, you did.
Yeah,
you did. Yeah, you sacked me 3 times.
The quarterback looks over at the tackle. Is that 3 for real? Oh. For real?
I'm a little concussed from the first 2. Totally
Who was
forgot.
the other guy? I thought it was 4.
Somebody license plate on that Crosby. Another one I found very interesting. Which current coach, aside from your own, would you want to play for? Mike Tomlin, number 1. Which is not crazy because obviously he hasn't had a losing record and players like him, but he is hard on guys, which is, I guess it seems he's like the exact balance of like hard on guys, but you believe it and you trust it and you know makes you feel like you need it type of thing. Mike McDaniel, number 2. Antonio Pierce, 2.8% of respondents. Hey Siri, what's 2.8% of 72? So 2 people. So 2 non-Raiders, because it couldn't be your coach. 2 non-Raiders said, of any coach in the NFL, you'd want interim head coach Antonio Pierce, who probably at that point had only played 1 or 2 games. I don't know exactly when this poll happened, but it was obviously after he became interim coach, and it was definitely before the Dolphins game. So that he was either like 0-0, 1-0, or 2-0. And already a few guys were like, yeah, I want AP as my head coach.
Well, you know, you just maybe some Raider fans across the that play for another team, and they heard his press conference because he murdered that press conference. And it's refreshing to have a guy that's like you know, double stud diamond earrings, you know, like drives an Impala to the game, unapologetically
talks like you,
themselves.
acts like you,
unapologetically
right? Like,
themselves.
young enough or he like super relates to these guys.
And but it's him though. It's him. That's why I think people like Mike McDaniel, because that's who he is. He was he was that way the whole way going up.
Yeah.
In his coaching career, he was the same guy.
He's the guy that took his Dungeons and Dragons skills to the gridiron.
Yeah.
Like, yep, that's what I do now.
So I mean, there's something to be said for authenticity, and I don't think that you can call anyone on that list a phony. You know, they're all pretty real. They know their stuff. They're smart. So yeah, I think that's something that people will gravitate to, regardless of what job you're in, you know, what sector where you work.
I think, I mean, obviously we're biased and we're sometimes in our own Raider bubble, but if the question was reversed, if you had to pick any coach in the NFL to not play for, I mean, is Josh McDaniels number 1?
Probably, yeah.
I mean, Eberflus is bad. I think Gase would have beat him out the season before, but obviously he's not head anymore. Is there another head coach that's just like floundering awfully that like is not only losing, but no one likes him? Eberflus is probably close, but McDaniels has like a history of it.
Yeah. Who's the guy in that Eberflus is in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that. I don't think anyone dislikes Frank Reich.
Not that way, you know.
Not in that sense. I think it's more a personal thing. I think it's just, again, what we talked about Josh McDaniels with this a lot, but you know, I think 1 and 2 would be Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick because of the way that they interact with the players. I think that players having given a choice are going to want to play for somebody that is going to be able to relate to them a little bit better.
Bill Belichick, I pulled it down, got 2.1% of this vote of who you'd want to play for. He was last on this list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. He was 12th. But I think just like his resume, I think just buoys him a little bit and buoys him over like the Eberfluses and McDaniels of the world.
Maybe it's an expatriate on another team.
Maybe. But that's a pretty good credence for you. Like that's a good, like that makes it seem even more valuable because now you're not just some guy who's never played there, but like, look, the guy knows football inside and out. I could learn a lot from him, especially if I'm a defensive player. I can get so much better playing under him. You don't know how much hell it is there, but if you played for him and still you're like, yeah, man, I was there and I want to go back. It means something.
I mean, you have probably one of the most successful NFL coaches of all time, and only 2.1% of the people polled want to play for him.
Memories, dude.
You got to win now, man. It's the win now mode. This is the win now league
seasons. And I think that's also what buoys Antonio Pierce too, is hope. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have a resume of failure. Like, you can't look back and be like, "Nah, this guy sucked." Like, watch, it's just like it's all
But
hope.
look, I hear a lot of like, the modern player this, the modern player that.
Yeah.
That's you just have to find a way to reach the player.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, I think players were a little bit more like accepting of like the military style, like, the head coach. But, you see, John Madden going out there, and he wasn't, he was tough, but he was relatable, right? And he was, he was a former player. He got players. He understood players.
Yep.
And I think that's the issue we have, to maybe not to the extent of Josh McDaniels, but we have a lot of coaches out there who are like way too X's and O's heavy and not too Willie and Joe's heavy. Like, you got to make sure that you coach the player. You don't just implement a system. You have to coach the players that you have. And, that's that to certain degrees. I think that's where we're running into some issues with coaching. Because all these coaches know their stuff. It's just how you implement it and how you teach it, right? So that's probably where they're running into issues, is not being able to coach players. And that's something that's not new.
Most underrated player. This was the closest one. The highest percentage was 5.4%. Right? You had like guys are like, 25, like 30% is your number one. T. Higgins got 5.4% as most underrated player in the NFL. So obviously this is all over the place. There's no front runner really. But Maxx Crosby did make 2.7, tied with like 10 other guys, which is kind of crazy considering he's an all-pro player. And still a handful of guys are like, yeah, like people don't realize how good this guy is, even though he's all-pro. And if you watch one Raider game, there's no player that the commentators are correctly sucking off more than Maxx Crosby. And still, people are like, dude, he's even better than you think.
Did you see the Hard Knock, the midseason Hard Knocks? No, on the Dolphins when they were talking about Maxx Crosby?
No.
It's like the entire freaking defensive meeting was about Maxx Crosby. Like, they didn't give two craps about anybody else on the defense.
That's correct use of their time.
Yeah, everything was about Maxx Crosby and how to stop him and how to contain him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so to be that good. Even T. Higgins, man, like people know who he is. He's a good player, but I think he's gonna explode when he goes somewhere to be a number one receiver. He's freaking good, man.
He's like the number 3 receiver on his team. Like that's why like people are like, yeah, he's a number
really
one and
good. He's the 2. He's been hurt, but he's the 2. He's over Boyd, but man, he's really good. But yeah, Maxx Crosby's an all-pro, and people are still saying that he's underrated. I don't think that people understand the level of his greatness. Mm-hmm. And I will say great because he's not just a good player; he's a great player.
Real quick, we'll do the last few quickly. Best stadium to play in: Arrowhead Stadium. Randomly got number 1 at almost 18%. Allegiant Stadium, 6%. Brand new. I guess that's the appeal. Or is that the best stadium because you're going to have a bunch of your fans there, a bunch of opposing fans?
All the strippers on the field and the little boxes, the field boxes.
That was best stadium to play. And here's the hilarious part. Worst stadium to play in. Oakland Coliseum made the list. There hasn't been an NFL football game played there in 4 seasons. And still, someone like a few, 2 or 3 people in this survey remembered how bad it was half a decade ago, and it's stuck in their head so hard that they blacked out and forgot the Raiders moved to Las Vegas and put Oakland Coliseum.
Dude,
that's how bad it was.
It's the PTSD. Look, man, we've both been there. That place was a freaking dump, dude. Like, yep. I reached down and grabbed a piece of concrete from the ground. I just pulled it up. Like, what? Mm-hmm. I just put it back. What the hell is that? That place was a dump.
Toilets overflowing. Their boxes were just like some plexiglass around some seats in the middle tiers.
Yeah, it's terrible.
You had to walk through Mos Eisley, that BART tunnel. That was kind of cool, though. I will admit, like it was garbage and sucked, but it was very Raider. Where you had to walk through that from the BART to that
the penitentiary walk,
dude, with the barbed wire on the side.
Yeah,
and
over the
all
bridge.
just
That's the
cement, that little
penitentiary walk
bridge.
right there.
Oh, dude, that was. You knew you were going to a Raider game, though. Like it felt like going to a Raider game. And when you lost, it kind of made the walk, that losing walk, feel. You know, like when you lose, you almost want to wallow in it for a little bit. Like I don't want to be happy right now. Just like your girl's trying to like cheer you up. And you're like, babe, no, I want to punch myself in the dick a little bit.
I by no means am like a scared person. Like I'm not a football hating pussy, you know?
Yeah.
But whenever I left Oakland Stadium, like I never felt safe. Regardless of what I was wearing and who I was with, I never felt safe leaving that stadium. Not one time. Like you had to be on high alert at all times. And I'm not saying it to like talk bad about the stadium or anything like that. It just was what it was.
It was trash.
That's why Adam Hill freaking getting beat up just doesn't surprise me whatsoever.
That's a ballsy man. And I know it was fueled by, a bottle of 80 proof, but to be like, yeah, I'm going to pick a fight on purpose as a Bills fan in Raider Stadium just because like I had to make a deal with my buddy. It's like, wow, it's ballsy man.
Check this out. Check this out. This is pretty funny. Raider John said, yeah, I remember when he said that he didn't to go to Miami. Their fans were saying, oh, well, what? He's overrated. And then literally right on cue, they do an entire episode on how they need to stop him. That was pretty much the entire episode.
Yeah.
And how they needed to stop. That was the whole thing. So it was pretty much like an infomercial, like ipso facto, an infomercial on how good Maxx Crosby is.
Most annoying fan base. There's the regular hitters here. Eagles and Cowboys each got about 25%. So half of them agreed on two fan bases, Cowboys and Eagles. I think that's also buoyed because they're winning. Right, Eagles are just in a Super Bowl. Cowboys have been, winning the division.
No, they're annoying.
But they are. But it's buoyed. It's buoyed by winning, and I say that because Raiders are only 4.1%, and I feel like that'd be a lot higher if the Raiders had been winning.
Annoying isn't the right word to describe the Raider fan base.
It's not correct, but that's how a Chiefs, Broncos, Chargers fan would say it. You know what I mean? They're saying, oh, they're annoying. They suck. They're,
You know how we didn't see anything from that. What was that idiot's name from the Jets? Fireman Bill, or what the hell his name?
Oh yeah, the Jersey dude. That
freaking idiot. I hate that dude.
I couldn't pronounce his name if I tried.
Yeah, whatever. I don't even know the freaking.
I did a whole video on him. And I still can't pronounce his name.
Yeah, he's a freaking dumb. He's a dummy.
Ready for some Raiders news?
Sure, why not?
So this is not Raiders news, but it is Raiders news. Shaq Leonard, waived by the Colts. Kind of came out of nowhere, right? Mm-hmm. He just made it through waivers just now.
Yeah, just
like a few hours ago. Mm-hmm. No one picked him up on waivers, so now you can pick him up at whatever price you can negotiate with him, more or less. So Bill Barnwell, my favorite guy at ESPN, broke down the numbers. The Colts owe Shaq Leonard, because we're all like, look, every team would want him, but it's what price for him, especially the Raiders. Much more so at the beginning of the season when we didn't know how good our linebacking crew was going to develop, right? Especially like Spillane having. Is Spillane having a Pro Bowl year?
I think so. He leads. He's tied for the lead in pass breakups and interceptions for linebackers, and he's at the very top in the tackles.
He's not going to win the popularity contest over the other AFC linebackers that have been doing it a while, but I mean, numbers wise, he's right up there to potentially be one, right?
Plus his target rating is I think the highest for linebackers too, or the lowest for linebackers.
Okay. So Bill Barnwell said the Colts owe Shaq Leonard $6.1 million over the rest of the season, but the release is likely more about 2024 when he has $6.5 million guaranteed for injury. Indy was probably cutting Leonard after the year and didn't want to be on the hook if he got hurt. So kind of like a Derek Carr situation where it's like, look, we know we're moving on from you. Mm-hmm. You suck. Let's just like not risk that injury.
Let's just give you a shot to jump on another team.
Any team that puts in a waiver claim on Leonard would pay him about $6.1 million for the rest of the year and be subject to that injury guarantee. But he made it through waivers, so Leonard can pick where he goes for the rest of the season. So that, I think, explains it why he made it through waivers. Not because he sucks or people are like he's not good. It's just like, let's just do this on our own.
Yeah, I don't want that. They don't want that injury guarantee.
Do we make a move?
I think
the Raiders. Did the Raiders put up a competitive offer to get Shaq Leonard?
I think we should, because it's a position of need. And I think he's the type of player that we want. You know, he's a good player. He's a smart player, and he's a guy that you can just put into any system. Is he the same guy that he was like flirting as the defensive player of the year a few years ago? No, he's not that same guy anymore. He's had some more injuries, but kick the tires, give him a shot. If he's willing to come over, I don't think anyone's going to really. I think it's going to be, shockingly low what he signs for.
And it's only going to be for the last few games, 5 games, depending where your bye is, right? 5 or 6 games left in the season for the team. I think it's more likely he holds out for like a Super Bowl contender that had like an injury at linebacker. I feel like that's probably, you want to do that more than come to the Raiders. Although the X factor, Antonio Pierce, gives him a call. Like, can he swoon a quality linebacker to a team with a losing record? That'd be nice. That'd be a nice little talk about feathering your cap. If Antonio Pierce can go to Mark Davis at the end of the season in that interview and be like, you know what, you only paid $2 million for a Pro Bowl linebacker because I called him in and he wanted to play for me. I can do that every season.
I don't know that he's going to do it though, honestly, because part of his appeal and part of his kind of shine right now is getting the players that he has to play at a high level. And you're bringing in a guy on a unit that you coached, and you're, like, these are your guys, it's kind of a gray area.
Well, that's a red flag. If he's like, I'm not going to bring in talent because I don't want to ruffle the feathers of my room.
Again,
that's an issue.
He's not the same player. You're not getting the Shaq Leonard of 3 years ago.
If we're getting the Shaq Leonard of this season for a couple mil, that's good value, especially at a position.
Sure.
The guy that was playing this season, this not as great one, is still worth a couple mil and one of the better linebackers on our team. Ready to do some what up Windbags?
Yeah, man, let's do it.
John Luca D 8003. So this was your short video that you did on Maxx Crosby, and it had and he said he's no Howie Long, but man, this kid can play. Which made me think, is Maxx Crosby already the best defensive end in Raiders history? Not potential. Right this second in his fourth season. He's in his fourth season.
I don't know, man. Both Greg Townsend and Howie Long played
good
inside, played outside. Dude, Greg Townsend's got a lot of freaking sacks, man. That's a ton of sacks. And they played all up and down the line.
They won more too.
They won a lot. I think he's on his way to being one of up there, but I don't like saying he's the best of all time. I think he's one of the greatest, because you can't really, the rules are a lot different. So I think he's on his way to being one of the best. Yes.
Do you think he'll be the best one day when all's said and done?
I don't personally rank him that way, so I can't really answer that one for you. But
it's a high bar, right? We love Maxx Crosby. God bless him. Look, like you cannot get enough ball.
Townsend and Long are probably the best two we've ever had as far as production goes.
Yeah.
And the fact that they played, inside, outside, they were just beasts, man. They were just beasts. I remember there was a little
Long together was. It was before my time, right? I was born in '83, but like the watching the old footage and all the NFL films on those guys.
There was a video in that clip that I made where Alzado and Long hit Joe Theismann at the same time. They just met at the quarterback. Whack! And they both got him at the same time. I'm thinking to myself, oh my God.
Party at the quarterback.
That was terrible.
Shima Utah 86. At what point can we say Tyree Wilson is a bust? It's sickening we passed on Jalen Carter and he was beasting against the Chiefs. That's a very fair question. Tyree Wilson may end up being a bust. It is definitely too early to say that now. But where is that line? At what point can we say we swung and missed on Tyree Wilson?
I think if in his second year we don't see a big improvement, because then
it needs to be big.
It needs to be big because
he's awful this season.
Yeah. So he doesn't have to have that super high production in year 2, but he definitely does need to show a big jump, because all the excuses that he had for this season are going to be gone. He's going to have a full off season. He's going to be healthy. He's going to have, consistent coaching. He's going to be able to go out and do the things that he can't, that he couldn't do the previous season. So him getting that off season and coming into to year 2, which is typically when you see that jump from a defensive lineman, is from year 1 to year 2.
And we warned everybody, like, look.
Whoa, yeah, we did in the very beginning.
He blows up and gives us 8 sacks, like, amazing, wonderful. We'll be doing backflips in the hallway with the rest of you guys. But like we told you, like, look, this was a developmental pick. Like, he was not brought in. He was supposed to replace Chandler Jones a season and a half from now. That's what he was drafted for, was to be a cornerstone for the next 10 years.
I mean, look at Malcolm Kuntz. Malcolm Kuntz, he showed improvement in year 2 over year 1. In year 3 last year, just for whatever reason, they didn't want to play him. Now they're forced to play him, and he's playing pretty well. So it's hard to say that within the first couple of years. But I mean, if you want to play the patience game, year 3, this is going to be who he's going to be. Will we see some small improvements here and there? Yes, but this is going to be the player that you're going to get. Because of the injury issue he had going into his rookie season, that second-year jump needs to happen. If not, then yes, he would be a bust.
And also, it's not fair to him, but it's going to always be the case. He'll always be tied to Jalen Carter and how well he does. It's going to be like, yeah, we could have had him, but instead we got Tyree Wilson. Like, it shouldn't be part of the equation, but I'll admit it. In the back of my head, I'm always going to be like, could have been Jalen freaking Carter. God, you're son of a bitch. Thomas Reynolds, 3590, one of the newer members to the channel. Thank you so much.
Welcome, Thomas Reynolds, the G.
A divisional member of the Autumn Windbags. Thank you so much for coming on board. Most Swiftie fans, I imagine, aren't football fans, but are Chiefs fans. Us against the world. It is the Swiftie game. She's in Taylor Swift's South America or something, right? So there's no way she's going to be at the game. Maybe she flies up real quick.
You're asking the wrong guy, man.
Couple days off the tour. That was the first thing my wife said. Which is like, oh, it's the Swiftie game. Is she going to come off the tour? Like, I don't know.
I care less about that than I do the sore you have on your ball sack.
I would hope that if I had like a really debilitating sore on my ball sack, you would be very concerned for my health.
I don't know about concern. I mean, I would be definitely a topic of discussion, but
if I had testicular cancer, I would hope.
That's different. I didn't say that. I said a sore.
Well, a sore, it's going to come from something important, right? It's going to be, I guess it depends where it came from, right? It's from like a back alley Tijuana.
You got to change those underwears, man. You got to change those underwear.
Yeah. I would say even the tiniest of sores on my ball sack, I would be offended if you weren't concerned about my health.
I am not.
You've seen how beautiful my daughter is. You'd be like, RJ, you should be making more beautiful kids.
You got lucky. You lucked out on that one. I wouldn't push it if I were you.
All right, that's it for this episode of the Autumn Windbags. We really appreciate you guys joining us. We will do a Chiefs Raiders preview show either Friday or Saturday, scheduling dependent. As early as Friday, no later than Saturday. Like I said, going to the game on Sunday. Chiefs Raiders. Monday, yeah. This is exactly how the game's going to go. Remember the old this is if you're a really diehard MMA fan, Pride Fighting Championships back in the day, and when they would do the English broadcast with Boss Rutan, it would be tape delayed. So they would actually they would do the fights, they would go back and record the audio commentary like the next day in LA, even the fights were in Japan. And then they would broadcast it on pay-per-view like 36 hours after the fights.
Yeah, as if it was live. Yeah,
as if it was live.
They would present it as if it was live.
And Boss Rutan, so he knows the results of the fights, but he'd still be like, "Hey, if he doesn't keep his right hand up, he's gonna get head kicked." He's looking at that head kick. Oh my God, he head kicked him! Oh wow, Boss, I can't believe you called it. It's like, dude, that always stuck in my craw so bad. Like, Boss, you're awesome. Like, why do you do that? Like, why?
No wonder the freaking producer hated him.
Well, that's like what Tony Romo started doing, right? It's like, oh, he predicted the play. It's like, no, the producers are feeding you the answers. That's what's happening.
Freaking Tony Romo.
Tony Romo. All right, that's it for us. Have a fantastic Thanksgiving, everybody. We did the whole like favorite food last time. We don't need to do it again, but I'm telling you, one of the best underrated coaches, underrated players, underrated holidays, Thanksgiving. Built-in 4-day weekend. Name one other holiday. You're guaranteed a 4-day weekend.
I'm so excited, dude. I'm so excited.
And it's top to bottom football. 4-day weekend.
Football, food, fun, family.
Can't do any better. Have a great Thanksgiving to all of our American listeners, and have a great weekend regardless if you're elsewhere. Till then, knock on wood if you're with me. Hey, you made it to the end of our video. Great job. I know you want more. Go ahead and click the next video. And if you're feeling crazy, go ahead and subscribe.